I'm Rebecca Chung, and thank you for joining us. This is Cracking the Crisis, a special program where we take a deep dive into fentanyl and how it's impacting our community. The lethal drug is 100 times stronger than morphine, 50 times stronger than heroin, and in 2021 it became the leading cause of death for people 18 to 45, accounting for nearly 70% of drug overdose deaths that year. Today we're taking a look at where things stand now as the focus turns to cracking the crisis. Fentanyl has made its way across the country, drug traffickers using the nation's interstates to transport the drug. I spoke with Topeka Police Department Captain Jerry Monismith. He's with the city's Criminal Investigations Bureau, and he says Topeka is right at the crossroads. Topeka, Kansas is at the heart of I-70 and I-35, two major interstates law enforcement says are used for drug trafficking. How significant really is this issue in Topeka of fentanyl and fentanyl use?
We see fentanyl in every form of drug we have, from powder to marijuana to fake prescription pills.
Fake pills can look like Percocet, Xanax, or oxycodone, but they're not. They contain fentanyl, and just one can be lethal. One of the main counterfeits Topeka police have their eye on, Dirty 30s.
It's like a chocolate chip cookie. I love chocolate chip cookies, but the reality is some cookies have more chips in it than others.
Monismith says the consistency can vary with fake pills. You never know how potent they'll be.
That consistency could be higher or lower, depending on the pill or the makeup of it. And that addiction sometimes allows people to take those chances because a lot of times they will know that the substance that they're attempting to get is real there, rather than if they go to somebody that doesn't have a substance that's quite as effective, you know, if you're driving that addiction.
Monismith says they've seen fentanyl tied to property crimes and violent crimes. Social media also playing a major role. Paint the picture of me of how serious this is for kids when it comes to fentanyl use.
Some of these pills are more attracted towards younger ages. I also see pills as being a little more socially acceptable than you see some of the harder drugs.
He says it's all about accessibility. At a time where you can access almost anything from your phone, online threats are something law enforcement is tracking. Apps like Snapchat facing lawsuits from parents that lost their children to fentanyl-laced pills being sold by dealers on the platform.
If we have kids that are attracted to fentanyl pills and they have accessibility online, you know, knowing who your kids hang out with is a powerful piece, because you know who they hang out with, what they bring to the table.
He says they also rely on people to fill them in on what's going on in the community, to stay in the loop and help with investigations. So if you see something, say something. And if you look around the capital city, you'll probably see some of these boxes. They're called Save a Life stations, and inside you'll find Narcan. It's a medication that can quickly reverse a narcotics overdose. And for one man, it gave him a second chance at life. I spoke with Nathan Voss, who's sharing his journey of addiction and recovery. I think one big question that everyone wants to know the answer to when it comes to something like this is, how does someone become addicted to fentanyl?
For me, it was a long road of dealing with prescription medications. From a young age, I was prescribed amphetamines like Ritalin, Adderall, stuff like that. And that's what really started my pill obsession. Eventually, it just led to the addiction part of it. It's really hard to explain when you tip over that point between just having fun and being an addict and actually having to use it when you wake up.
Tell me a little bit about your road to recovery. When did you know that it was time for you to take that step?
So I had a huge problem with alcohol this last run. The worst part about that was I didn't use opiates that whole time, really, and then when I tried to, I did overdose. And I was actually Narcan back to life by a friend that we lost about 2 years ago to an overdose. I overdosed twice on fentanyl, not knowing fentanyl was in stuff. And that's really where my journey started with recovery. I knew I wanted to be around for my kids and be a good dad to them, so that's when I started to make the change.
Walk me through a little bit more of that Narcan save that you experienced, because I don't think many people know what that's actually like. What is that like? What was that like for you?
Sometimes you would get sick, which is one of the first signs of an overdose, is maybe you get sick and throw up or something. But for me, it blew my mind. Just that whole time that I was using and not having issues, and then just the smallest amount is what made me just fall flat right then.
Tell me a little bit about your road to recovery so far. What has that been like?
I've been in recovery before, but I didn't put my heart and try these things, and working with a sponsor, getting involved in service, being of service to my community also. It's just the promises of the program, and it all fulfills itself in your life on a daily.
So for you, Narcan, it seems, saved your life, but it also set you off on this path to take charge of your life.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we have more coming up, including this.
We thought we're just going home to get her and she's coming home. And we got there. It was really not good.
She lost her daughter to fentanyl, but her story lives on. Up next, how a tragic end led to a new push for change. And later on.
Fall again. Fall again. Good.
We introduce you to law enforcement's secret weapon to get the fentanyl crisis under control. That's still ahead.
The following program is sponsored by Chris Kobach, Attorney General of Kansas.
I'm Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach. Over 1,200 Kansans have already died from fentanyl, including many who died after taking a pill that they got online or from a friend and they thought was safe, but was actually laced with fentanyl. And the problem is getting worse, not better. Fentanyl is a poison that is killing more and more Kansans every day. Be smart and protect yourself. Don't take any pill that you did not get from a doctor or from a pharmacy.
Now is your chance to visit the 2025 St. Jude Dream Home. This beautiful home built by Drippe Homes and Aquarian Acres is now open for free tours. Come see the house and reserve your $100 ticket today. Visit KSNT.com for details and directions.
If you know an outstanding student athlete who deserves to be recognized, nominate them for Scholar Athlete of the Week at KSNT.com. Sponsored by Kansas 811 and Briggs Auto Group.
Start your Friday with a donut. Fox 43 AM Live and Higher Grounds Coffee House and Deli are giving away donuts every week to a lucky business. We'll draw a winner on Wednesday and deliver the treats on Friday. Sign up your business today. Sponsored by Higher Grounds Coffee House and Deli.
Every child deserves to eat every day, but some kids in Topeka only eat on school days. This is Andy Batliner with Hy-Vee. We're partnering with KSNT, Project Topeka, and Lewis Toyota to make sure kids get the calories and nutrition they need on weekends too. You can help by purchasing a weekend Grub Club bag the next time you shop at Hy-Vee. These items are priced at Hy-Vee's cost, so a $5 bag feeds a kid for the weekend during the summer. A $10 bag feeds 2 kids. Please support the Weekend Grub Club for Topeka kids.
Don't miss Into the Woods at the historic Columbian Theater in Wamego.
Driving through Topeka, Kansas, you may have come across these giant billboards. They're from Kaylee's Dad is Mad, a group hoping to catch people's attention and raise awareness about the dangers of fentanyl. And I spoke with a woman whose family started the group after losing Kaylee to an overdose.
My name's Amber Solly Berger, and my daughter was Kaylee Berger. She was 22. Sorry. It's kind of a rough week. She had struggled with addiction in her adult years. She knew something was wrong, but she didn't know what, and neither did we, and we tried to help her. She would achieve recovery, and she would stay there for the longest, but then she would sometimes slip back into addiction. So we went and saw a mental health professional, and she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. But when she was treated, she was that same happy and fun-loving, just light up any room, caring person that you would ever meet. She had done some stuff during her active addiction to where she was incarcerated, and she called, and the plan was for her to come home. She was done. She wanted to turn her life around. She wasn't going to do this again. She was really over it. A few days before she got released, she called, and that wasn't the plan anymore. I'm Kaylee's stepmom. We don't do step in our family. She's been my daughter for 13 years, She was my girl before I had girls. She called and she said that she wasn't going to come here. She wanted to go to her bio mom's house because it's closer to everywhere. You know, we knew it was not a good place for her to be. We asked her to please come home. You know, it's not a good idea, but she wants to help and fix everyone, and so that was her plan. And so she was doing good for a little bit, and then we got a call on the 17th at 1 in the morning from her bio mom that she was in the hospital and she was on a ventilator. She wasn't sure how serious it was. And we thought we're just going home to get her and she's coming home. And we got there and it was really not good. She was on the ventilator for 8 days. And through those 8 days, we prayed and we pleaded and we begged. She's so young. Please just bring her home. Use her as an example to change people's lives. She can do this. As it got closer to the 25th is when she finally passed away. But it's hard to accept that because she was on all these machines and her heart was so strong. And they had to keep her on those machines because she was an organ donor. She was able to save 5 people and donate 6 organs, which is amazing. We're so proud of her. Since she's been gone, a few weeks after, we attended a rally, and my husband and I thought, well, we can do this. If this gets these parents out of bed, surely it'll help get us out of bed. Since then, we've been spreading awareness and sharing education anywhere we can. I myself am almost 12 years sober. My husband's almost 9, so we know you can turn your life around, but you just gotta have that one person love you enough to do it. We couldn't help her because she wanted to help others. But we can help someone else's kid.
And coming up after the break, in the time that you've worked here, what's been the most shocking discovery for you as you become more familiar with this drug?
I'm shocked by the lack of understanding that's out there among the general public as to how significant and severe this problem is.
I sit down with Tony Mativi, director of the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, why he's warning of cartels in the state. And still ahead, how the state's first canine unit is helping law enforcement get ahead of the crisis.
The floor is hot sevens! They're going up to $300,000!
The Hot Sevens family of tickets are the hottest games from the start all the way through the second chance drawings.
When I woke up in the hospital, all I knew is that I'd had a really bad accident with a big truck. I had no idea what the trucking company was capable of. Thank goodness my family called Devon James.
We knew that with every passing minute, the truck company was gaining an advantage.
Our experts rushed to the scene, and our fast response meant Maria got the money she deserved. After a truck crash, Devon James wins. 888-8888.
Devon James is your on-the-scene big truck team.
Did you know taxes could be your biggest expense in retirement? At Jones Advisory Group, helping people like you optimize your taxes in retirement is what we do. Call us today to learn ways to possibly lower your taxes in the future.
This week's Pets in Need Spotlight is Kato. Kato is an 11-month-old hound dog mix. He loves to play with other dogs, is house-trained, knows sit and shake, and does well with children. You can meet Kato at Helping Hands Humane Society.
I'm Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach. Over 1,200 Kansans have already died from fentanyl, including many who died after taking a pill that they got online or from a friend and they thought was safe, but was actually laced with fentanyl. And the problem is getting worse, not better. Fentanyl is a poison that is killing more and more Kansans every day. Be smart and protect yourself. Don't take any pill that you did not get from a doctor or from a pharmacy.
Welcome back. The Kansas Bureau of Investigation is one of many agencies joining together to tackle the fentanyl crisis in the state. I spoke with Director Tony Mativi to talk about the growing concern for overdoses and cartels in our own backyard. Tell me a little bit about where things currently stand in Kansas. Statistics-wise, what are we looking at?
We're still looking at hundreds of deaths a year. Even though our targeted enforcement efforts have gone up exponentially. As an example, when I started in this job less than 2 years ago, we didn't have a single law enforcement canine in the state that was trained to detect just fentanyl. We're seeing fentanyl sold and used by itself. We're also seeing fentanyl mixed in with every other kind of illegal drug that's out there, really. We see it mixed with meth most often. We see it mixed with crack. We see it sprayed on marijuana. So unfortunately, a kid in Kansas who thinks that they might just be smoking a joint could very well be getting marijuana that's laced with fentanyl. The other thing that's really troubling about the way we see fentanyl right now is that we're seeing it in what we call fake pills, which are pills that the user doesn't expect to contain fentanyl. We see it most often in Adderall, Xanax, or Percocet. And that's one of the things that's so incredibly dangerous about it is we're seeing it in places that users or people don't expect to find it, and it is lethal in such a small quantity. So 2 milligrams of fentanyl is a potentially lethal dose. That's enough to fit on the head of a pencil. So that's one of the many things that makes it such a terrifying problem.
Just out of curiosity, because it's always, been something I've been curious about, but why would a dealer or someone spray like marijuana or like put fentanyl on like another drug? Would that incentivize them to like kill off their, consumer, or like what would be?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
People ask me, well, what kind of business model is that? That doesn't make sense. Let me back up a step. There is no fentanyl in Kansas that wasn't brought here and isn't being trafficked by one of the cartels, okay? Fentanyl is entirely a cartel-driven, cartel-supplied product. The reason that the cartel has put fentanyl into that fake pill is because they want to addict as many people as possible, right? That's the business model. Addict as many people as you can, and if somebody dies as a result, they don't care, right? This is all about greed to them. So the business model isn't, kill your customers. The business model is addict as many people as you possibly can. And if you lose a customer every now and again, that's okay. It's a cost of doing business. It's very different for the family that loses that 15-year-old kid, right? For them, it's not a cost of doing business. It's a tragedy. And that's the disparity, right? That's the disconnect between what the cartels are doing and what we're experiencing here in our communities when we see these kids die.
I know some lawmakers have pointed to cartels here in Kansas, maybe even in Topeka. Is that an actual concern, something that people should be concerned about, you think?
Absolutely. That's who is bringing this substance here. When fentanyl first came on the radar in 2017, 2018, 2019, it was a commodity that was provided by the Chinese, right? That's how it got into our country. It didn't take the cartels long to figure out that fentanyl is by far the most profitable drug that our society has ever seen. So very quickly, the cartels elbowed the Chinese out of the way. So what we see now is the precursors for fentanyl are trafficked from China to Mexico, where the cartels manufacture fentanyl in their labs in the jungles of Mexico and then bring it across our border and distribute it throughout the United States. So Fentanyl is just another commodity that's now being trafficked by those cartels from Mexico across our southwest border into Kansas.
And physically, these cartels are here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They have folks that are introducing it and selling it here in our communities. We have agents who work undercover who make controlled buys of fentanyl pills, of fentanyl powder, and as they work their way up the chain, they're dealing with actual cartel members here in Kansas.
Tell me about some of the experiences you've heard of from people who have lost children to this drug.
I can tell you that here at the KBI, we have an agent who lost a child. On his wife's birthday, he and his wife woke up and they found their 18-year-old son dead in the basement of their home from a fentanyl overdose. That is a guy who spent his entire adult life fighting against drugs. And we know that what happened is his son went online and ordered what he thought was an Adderall to help him study for a test. And what he got was a fake pill that had a fatal dose of fentanyl in it. People ask me all the time, what's the biggest myth about fentanyl? And in my view, there are three. It can't happen in my community, it can't happen to my family, and it can't happen to me. If that can happen to one of our folks, if that can happen to an experienced drug agent, it can happen to anybody.
We'll be right back with a look at the KBI's K-9 Task Force.
What's for dinner? Shop Dillon's for appetizing ingredients and big savings, like $600 in digital coupons and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. Dillon's, fresh for everyone.
You are a real-life hero. Your legend is growing.
Former military intelligence, highly skilled.
Don't underestimate her.
Mel and Harry work with me. I know they don't look like much.
Hey. No, honey, that's fair.
Your mom, she knows how to take care of herself.
Bad guys, they don't play by the rules, so neither can I.
Sundays at 11 on 27 KSNT.
I'm Matt Bretz. And I'm Kent Briggs. And everyday motorcyclists head out just like you, to work, school, to see friends and family.
But unlike you, they don't have thousands of pounds of steel to protect them.
A quick lane change or left turn without checking twice can end in tragedy.
In 2023, over 6,000 motorcyclists were killed in crashes, many caused by drivers who just didn't look carefully.
Before you turn, before you switch lanes, look twice. It could save a life.
Let's all share the road this summer. Motorcyclists and their families are counting on you.
I'm Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach. Over 1,200 Kansans have already died from fentanyl, including many who died after taking a pill that they got online or from a friend and they thought was safe, but was actually laced with fentanyl. And the problem is getting worse, not better. Fentanyl is a poison that is killing more and more Kansans every day. Be smart and protect yourself. Don't take any pill that you did not get from a doctor or from a pharmacy.
What's for dinner? Shop Dillon's for appetizing ingredients and big savings, like $600 in digital coupons and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump. Dillon's, fresh for everyone.
In 2023, Kansas got its first K-9 unit trained to detect fentanyl. It's part of the Kansas Bureau of Investigation. And since its launch, the agency has seized thousands of pills. I got a behind-the-scenes look at what goes into training K-9 officers to detect the deadly drug. This is Kuno.
Good.
And Special Agent Brent Donaldson.
Bud.
And both are pretty close, not just at work, but at home. So these dogs, highly trained, highly skilled. What's it like for you to be able to work with one of them?
Humbling. This is something I've always wanted to do. I love being a K-9 handler, but it's also challenging at the same time. You know, he's 2 years old, and they act much like a 2-year-old toddler. So just keeping on top of them, making sure they have repetition, making sure that we're on the same page together each and every time that we go out on the street.
Kuno, like other officers in the unit, came to Kansas all the way from the Netherlands, a country known for its strict breeding standards, breeding dogs with a strong work ethic.
In the United States, football is a very big sport, right? Well, over in Holland, sport training dogs is huge, much like football is here. So what they'll do is they'll train the dogs for sport, and then the ones that they want to ship over to the United States to become police dogs, that's how we get to select the dogs.
So what goes into selecting the dog? What do you guys look for?
The bigger thing that we look for is environmentals. When these dogs are overseas, maybe the largest body of water they've ever seen is like their water pail inside of their kennel, or they've only seen a grass field, so they've never been in buildings, they've never seen stairs. And you take them into a building and you put them on a set of steps, or her on a set of steps, or you want them to jump on top of a table. It may seem like a daunting feat for that dog because they don't understand that it's going to be okay.
It takes hours of training to get these canine officers ready. It starts with imprinting, teaching the dogs to recognize the fentanyl odor without actually having to use the drug. So you were talking about how you're training them to detect fentanyl, but without using fentanyl.
Yeah, so the reason we don't want to use pure powder fentanyl is for the dog's exposure. We want to limit that exposure, right? So what we have here is a disc that a scientific company makes, and what they do is they take the actual odor of the fentanyl and they have a soaking membrane inside of this disc that soaks up all the odor of that fentanyl in this disc. So the dog's not actually going to come in contact with the fentanyl itself. It's just purely just the odor. The West Coast had some fentanyl dogs, so that's who we contacted, and they seem to use this. It's worked really great for us, but as science happens nowadays, they actually have containers to where we can put pure fentanyl in those containers, and the dogs will not have any contact with it. So that's where we're going to end up going to, is the actual substance itself.
Once the canine officer picks up on the scent, it's all about keeping their skills sharp so they can detect fentanyl in any situation. Still, the dangers of the drug are just as real for these canines as they are for humans. Does the dog ever need to be administered Narcan at a certain point if they encounter fentanyl?
Every handler keeps Narcan on their person in case their dog gets ingested with it.
Has that ever happened with the canine unit thus far?
No, it has not. Thankfully, and hopefully it never will.
The canine unit launched in July 2023, and just 4 months later in Wichita, officers seized 60,000 fentanyl pills, about 4 pounds of fentanyl powder, and 59 pounds of crystal meth in one shipment.
And then so on from there, we've had significant busts throughout the next year to 2 years that we've been on the street. Not only the large busts out in parcel facilities, but also airplanes, buses, trains. We try to focus our efforts on those areas that aren't really focused on much by other law enforcement. Mulligan.
And now the focus is adding more canine officers to the force.
Mulligan. Mulligan. Go ahead.
And that concludes our special program, Cracking the Crisis. Thank you for tuning in, and remember to stay safe and informed.
The preceding program was sponsored by Chris Kobach, Attorney General of Kansas.
I'm Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach. Over 1,200 Kansans have already died from fentanyl, including many who died after taking a pill that they got online or from a friend and they thought was safe, but was actually laced with fentanyl. And the problem is getting worse, not better. Fentanyl is a poison that is killing more and more Kansans every day. Be smart and protect yourself. Don't take any pill that you did not get from a doctor or from a pharmacy.